Hi from the Chattanooga Zoo, and thank you for joining us today. I'm here with my friend Max, the eastern box turtle. Are you excited for our program today? We sure are. Let's go. Hi! So I thought it'd be really fun to come check out our giraffes. Our giraffes just came to us in May of 2020, and they came from the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, Louisiana. They had some really cool conservation space there, so they were able to come to us. And this is their first time really interacting with the public and seeing the public. So there is definitely a transitional period where we had to slowly introduce them to seeing people look at them in amazement. So they're pretty comfortable now. And we're gonna get up close and check them out in just a second. But I wanted to let you know that when we're meeting these guys, this is not something everyone gets to do. This is their outdoor yard. So you can see it's pretty muddy right now. We've had a lot of rain lately, but we do have a bachelor herd of 3. So we have 2 reticulated giraffes, which are endangered unfortunately, and 1 Rothschild, which is near threatened. But here at the zoo, we're doing a lot to protect these guys and to educate the public on how we can protect them, and that's what we're gonna do. So come on, let's follow me. I went ahead and made sure we had time with Casey, their keeper, and she set up this special encounter for us. Hi Casey.
Hello.
Casey, do you want to tell us who's enjoying your lettuce today?
Yeah, so we have 2 of our 3 boys here right now who I just fed. This is George. George is 6 years old. He's one of our reticulated giraffes Peri was telling you about. The little one that is walking away, that is Hardy Star. He just had a birthday. He is 2 years old. And then there's one more kiddo in the back there that's enjoying an enrichment item, which is another way for them to give us, for us to give them their food, to make it a little more difficult for them, so it's not always super easy. That is Porter, and he just had a birthday. He is 3.
Awesome. Yeah, so like I said, these guys came to us from the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, Louisiana. So the 2 that you saw up front, George and Hardy Star, they are the reticulated giraffes. And Porter, who's hanging out in the back, you can tell his coloration's a little bit different. I like to say it looks like he's dusty, right? Because his spots aren't as prominent. He's gonna be that Rothschild. You might want to zoom in over here for me. You can see those amazing tongues. They have what we call prehensile tongues. So you're gonna hear stuff like monkeys have prehensile tails, sometimes opossums are referred to having prehensile tails. Prehensile just means that it's grasping. And that's gonna be really important for these guys' native habitat of the savannas of Africa. They're gonna live on these huge grasslands or savannas, and they're going to eat from the trees that no one else can reach. And even sometimes it's a bit of stretch for them, so they have that tongue to reach out, and it's actually gonna be about 18 to 20 inches long, so like 1.5 feet. That's just insane to me. But these guys, you're also gonna notice the color. It's this dark bluish purple color. That's actually going to be sun protection for them. They're sticking their tongue out in the sun all the time. I cannot imagine a sunburned tongue. It just sounds like the worst thing ever. So they went ahead and tackled that. And if you can look, he's got these amazing little bumps on his head. I say little, but they're not little at all. These are called ossicones. So ossicones are going to be a part of their body. Is it bony cartilage? Is that correct?
It is, yes.
So you can see that it's going to keep growing, and his are a little bald up top, and that's most likely because he's a male. The females might have more tufts of fur on theirs, but that's also going to be because they don't use them. Our males will sometimes use those when they're doing a behavior called necking. They are going to be a social group of animals. They live in a herd, and so their social hierarchy is very important. The males will hit necks against each other to be able to establish dominance. The really good thing about that is that whoever wins, they're pretty chill about it, right? The fight doesn't normally keep happening, or no one's mad at each other otherwise. You know, you just kind of go off and sulk. But they are able to still graze together afterwards, which is really important. We have seen our giraffes doing that, especially because Porter and Hardy Star are still juveniles. They're definitely still maturing, and they're trying to figure out where they fall in that social ladder. And so sometimes you'll see George and Porter doing that necking behavior, which is just establishing dominance. But we allow it. It's a natural behavior. We always monitor to make sure it's safe, and we have separate spaces we can put them in case we need to separate them, in case they're getting a little too rowdy. Casey, what is your favorite part about working with these giraffes?
I loved their intelligence. I know a lot of people may think that they're not that smart, but or assume that they're not, but they really are. We got these boys from, like she said, in New Orleans, and they didn't really have a lot of trained behaviors. And the reason trained behaviors are super important, especially for a giraffe, is their hooves are really important. So we trained these guys to do hoof trims on them. And within just a couple of weeks of trying to do that training, these guys picked it up really easily. They're pretty food motivated, if you can't tell from the lettuce that he's consuming. So we have been able to do that in a very short amount of time. And that also just means that they trust us. So I really love that they are able to do that, and they respect us and trust us to do that stuff. So that's my favorite part.
It sounds like you have an amazing job. What kind of hard work did you have to do to get this position?
I have a bachelor's degree in biology, animal science specifically. I did an internship at the Nashville Zoo actually many years ago, about 11 years ago. And I have worked in zoos across the United States. I started in Nashville, went to Boise, Idaho, and then I am now here in Chattanooga. So I've been doing this for a little over 11 years now. So yeah, it's definitely a love.
And look at these eyes, honey. They have huge eyes. They have amazing eyesight. They can actually see up to a mile away. So that's going to be really important to their ecosystem in those African savannas. The other animals will actually watch these guys, and if they seem alarmed or alerted and run away, other animals will follow suit because they're just pretty sure the giraffe saw something and they don't want to hang around either. So they're going to be really important for the safety of other animals on that savanna. Also, they have incredibly long necks. I'm sure you're wondering, how big is this dude, right? So George here is our largest, but remember, our other ones are still growing, and he's about 16 feet. And the males are gonna get 16 feet to about 19 feet, whereas the females normally get 14 to 16 feet. So you might be wondering why George is on the smaller size. I mean, I'd love to be tall, but I'm not, right? So part of it's just genetics. But we also think part of it was his birth story. He was a twin, which is incredibly rare in giraffes. I mean, when they're born, they are 6 feet tall and weigh anywhere from 100 to 150 pounds. So I can't imagine his mom having to carry two of those around. It seems insane to me. So that's a lot of work. But like I said, we think that smaller size might be due to the fact that he's a twin. And also just your genetics are going to play into it. Porter, who's getting a little bit older and is doing the necking or dominance behavior with George, is definitely growing, so we think he's probably going to outgrow George here one day. So another amazing adaptation for them is that their necks are about half the length of that size, so that's pretty huge. And because of that, they don't love to go down to the ground often. They will every once in a while if they need water, but they're able to get most of their water from the food that they would eat. The seed pods, the leaves, stuff like that. They are herbivores, so plant eaters only. But they can go down to the ground if they need to, or bend their neck down. And they have special valves in their neck to make sure that they don't pass out, because blood pressure is going to be something pretty serious trying to get all that blood to his head. What are you looking at, George?
I don't know.
These guys are really skittish. So, as I said, they have amazing eyesight. I probably wouldn't be able to see what he was looking at in a million years, but he's definitely watching something over to the side. Food was more interesting, apparently. But, yeah, so these guys can go down to the ground or bend their necks down to the ground if they need to. It's really awkward looking, and it's not the best position for them to be in. It makes them very vulnerable to prey, so they're going to avoid it at all costs. You might be looking at this neck and be like, dude, he has like 100 bones in there. No, he has 7 vertebrae just like you and I, but they're incredibly tall and large and heavy duty. These guys don't sleep very often because, again, they have to stand a lot. So they take a bunch of little cat naps, I like to say. They snooze for about, would you say 15 to 20 minutes at a time?
Yep.
And they only get a max of 5 hours of sleep a day. So that's a lot of time to be grazing and to be alert. So another reason that social group is so important for them, there can be multiple eyes watching when you're deciding to doze off for a little bit. So if you'd like, I'd love to tell you more about how we got this space. It took a lot of fundraising, a lot of interdepartmental work to make this space happen. I'd love to go show you about that. This is one of their yards. They have two. They're very spoiled. We were excited, and so we wanted to give them all the things. But it took over $2.5 million to build this space, and we've actually built it for growth. So we're hoping to get even more animals, and I'm going to tell you about the fundraising and the engineering when we go inside.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We had such a great time. We learned a lot too. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon at the zoo.